If you played a game of trying to compensate, then it's a never-ending cycle. I don't care if on Friday night you drank, a full bottle of wine, you ordered a large vegan pizza and you had vegan chocolate cake. What should I do? All right, good morning everyone and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today we're going to be doing a solo episode because I want to share something with you that I have shared with my member recently that was really helpful for them in their transformation. And I just hope that this would help you in your transformation as well. So, all right, welcome to the Fit Vegan Podcast. I'm your show host, Maxime Sigouin, and I'm the founder and CEO of Fit Vegan Coaching, a company that is on a mission to help 10,000 people get lean, thrive, and reduce their risk of chronic illnesses by 2033 and 1 million by 2050. I believe that having a fit, healthy body and mind is the foundation to living an incredible life, and this is what the show will give you if you choose to listen and implement. Enjoy the episode and have a great day. A lot of people that we work with tend to be type A, perfectionist, overachievers, kind of that all or nothing mentality with a little touch of, perfectionism in there. And so if that sounds like you and how you would describe yourself, then I invite you to listen up. If you've been struggling with your transformation in terms of improving your body composition, building muscle, losing fat, or ultimately just being consistent with the actions that would be necessary for you to accomplish this type of transformation, because you are all or nothing, you'll have moments where you're doing great and moments where if you're not doing great, you're absolutely doing nothing and ultimately regressing. Your ability to live in that gray middle zone is what will allow you to be successful in your transformation, because the most important component of any body and fitness transformation is consistency, because just like in finances, consistency does truly compound when it comes to your transformation. And so it's not because you're going to have bouts of sprints and bouts of inactivity that you hope that those bouts of sprints will compensate for the moments of inactivity and they'll kind of bring an average that will allow you to have a great transformation. Honestly, if you were to do not a lot of activity but be consistent with it, you would still do a lot better than if you had, a week where you were perfect, a week when you were imperfect, and you kind of rotated between those two. So I hope what I'm sharing makes sense. I just want to use the analogy of colors to kind of illustrate my point. All or nothing, right? So let's just say that all out is black and doing nothing is white. The majority of the time when we are all out and everything is perfect and everything is going smoothly, that is only a small percentage of your life, right? Like those are the days where you slept well, you wake up, you feel phenomenal, and you just feel like you can absolutely conquer the world, right? Hopefully you have a lot of these days, but the reality is that they won't be the majority of the days that you're going to live on this earth. So they're going to be a smaller percentage of your days. And hey, everyone, when they have those days, has the ability to make healthy decisions for their food and be able to show up for their workout because they feel so darn good, right? So that all out mentality usually applies to those days. And, everyone does that on those days. So it's not that hard. There's nothing special about it. Now, on the flip side, that all or nothing mentality, so that nothing, basically like the color white, is the days when you wake up where it's gloomy outside, you didn't sleep as well, you woke up and your dog was sick last night and you have to pick it up just because that happened recently with Tempe. You're just groggy. It's not the best day, right? It's like a rough day for you to wake up to. That is also going to be a small percentage of your day. That is going to be a small percentage of your life. Not every day is going to be like that. And so your ability to show up during those days or to simply rest is the thing that will help to determine whether you're making a little bit more progression or not. But just understanding that during those hard days, I also choose to move my workout to a different day. I also choose that, hey, if I'm that tired, I need to rest. It would be of no use to me to push. And the majority of the days you're going to live are not going to be black. They're not going to be white. They're going to be gray in the middle. It's going to be a day where you slept decent. You ate your food yesterday. You have your normal life stressors, and you don't wake up feeling like on top of the world, but you also don't feel like shit. You just feel normal, right? And when you feel normal, I feel like that's when a lot of people tend to make their decisions like, well, I should do my workout. I should make the right decision for my nutrition. And then that's when it comes down to, are you going to give into this idea of like, I'm not feeling my best, so therefore I'm not going to push for it, so therefore I'm going to take no action, basically what I'm trying to say is your ability to make decisions on those gray days, in those gray moments, and understanding that it's not going to be perfect all the time, but it's also not going to be imperfect all the time. And you just kind of have to do with what is presented in front of you. The people that have the ability to live in that zone are the people that have the ability to take consistent action. And the one that takes consistent action is the one that gets the result. And so to kind of sum it all up and to try to make it make sense, I hope you're following me up until now, right? I've just shared that analogy once to our members and it helped them. So I'm trying to refine it as I'm sharing it with you now. But your ability to show up when you just feel normal or meh or not so good, right? Just a rough night of sleep. You wake up from a rough night of sleep is what will determine if you will be able to lose the weight. Because if you're only waiting for the good days to feel good, then you're only going to show up a small percentage of the time because it's only realistically going to be a small percentage of your days on earth. And if you can learn to accept that you're not always going to feel 100% excited to work out, excited to eat your Buddha bowl instead of ordering, a vegan pizza as a takeout. If you can accept that you won't always feel like it, but that you still have the ability to make the right decision and to do it, that is when, as you win more of those gray days, that you'll have the ability to have an amazing transformation. So I'm sharing this because a lot of people see and hear our Fit Vegan success stories for our members, and they always make that assumptions of like, yeah, those people they're just built different, right? They handle obstacles differently. They make the right decision. They show up when they don't want to. And that's why if you listen carefully to those episodes that I record with our members, I asked them, right? Was there any moments where you slipped up? Was there any obstacles, any speed bumps in the road? Did you handle them all the time perfectly? And when you did go off track, what did you do to get back on track? Just for all of you to understand that all the amazing transformations that you see on our website, that you see on YouTube, that you hear on the podcast, all of them went off track at one point. Multiple times, right? For sure one time, but for sure multiple times. All of them went off track. All of them made a decision that was, not the most optimal, but that was the most realistic. But because they understood that making one bad decision or a few bad decisions is not the thing that's going to destroy your transformation, they understood that if they just continue to show up, then it becomes undeniable that they will be able to reach their goal. And so I hope that this podcast today, which is going to be on the shorter side, helps you kind of reframe and change your perspective as to how this whole journey is going to be. Because, for myself personally, I've been in the fitness industry for 19 years now. Fit Vegan is 4.5 years. We're going on 5 years, early of 2025. We transformed over 800 people. And when you transform that many people, you start to notice a pattern as to what allows people to succeed and what gets people to not complete their transformation and give up on their goal. And the biggest thing I found is when there's a mismanagement of expectation. And so that's why I like to be as upfront as possible when people come to work with us. When I record these episodes, I'm not telling you that when you come into a program and we give you the plan, everything is going to be magical. It's all going to be sunshine and rainbow. You're going to have unlimited amount of motivation. There's discipline that's going to appear out of nowhere for you to always do your workout, for you to always do your nutrition. I always like to be upfront in that we do the unsexy work with our members. We go in the trenches with you, right? We understand that you're going to fall, that you're going to go off track. And that's a part of the journey. That's how you actually get to learn and build that into a sustainable lifestyle. And so I just want you to understand that mismanagement of expectation is the number one thing that messes up everyone's transformation. Because, if I were to ask all the people listening now to raise your hand on how many of you have started that they're struggling with their weight, have started a New Year's resolution or a new fitness or a new body goal or a new weight loss goal you set for yourself, and you created this quote unquote perfect plan for yourself of, I'm going to work out every day for 30 minutes or every day for an hour, or every day for 2 hours. And I'm going to eat these foods and I'm not going to eat processed sugar and I'm going to be perfect on everything. And you start that process, you do a few days, maybe a week, maybe a few weeks, but undoubtedly at one point, your food's not ready. There's a stressor. You have to eat out at the restaurant. Your schedule doesn't align. You have to miss a workout. And then as soon as you go off track from this quote unquote perfect plan that you created for yourself, then you're like, oh man, I'm a failure. I completely miss, right? Or ask you to raise your hand. I know there'd be a bunch of you because I do this, ask this specific question in our Fit Vegan Masterclass, and a ton of people raise their hand. Like, I was there before. If I set a goal for myself or a game plan of what would need to happen, and it was really unrealistic because it doesn't account for life happening, and I was to slip up, then I would just beat myself up. I would beat myself out of the plan and out of this journey, out of this goal that I created for myself. And so I just want you to understand, if you are able to manage your expectations, you will be able to go further and faster and get better results in your transformation, right? I'll just throw in another weird analogy. How many of you have been rushed to go somewhere and you sit in your car and you just yank on your seatbelt, right? You yank it and it just blocks you, and then you get upset. You're trying to back it up, slowly, and you're trying to pull it again because you're trying to rush because you're trying to go somewhere, and you just keep yanking on that seatbelt, and it keeps blocking you because you're doing such an abrupt movement, because you're rushing the movement. And I've been in that at one point a few times in my life where I was that rushed, and I'd pull, and it kept blocking me, and I was like, fuck in my head. I was like, it's not going, and then I had to take a big breath and just back it up slowly, and then tie it slowly again, and then it would click, and then I could go. If I would have done that the first time, I would have left a lot faster than all the time that I lost going back and forth and being stressed about trying to rush it, right? It's the same thing with a transformation. So many people are just trying to rush that seatbelt to yank it in to go somewhere. So that's why so many people fall for the fad diets or the newest trend that's coming out online on how to lose weight. Like, what we do is the basics that have been around since, before the bodybuilding era even existed, like before the Arnold days of how people lost weight. Like, the basics work. We don't need a crazy strategy. We don't do any crazy quick fat loss. What we understand is that the principles have always worked. Sorry, the fundamentals have always worked for weight loss, right? We just need to help people stick to those fundamentals. And so the best way I like to explain that is that we don't hold our members' hand, because that is actually a disservice to them, because once they're out of the program, if they used us as a crutch, then we're removing the crutch from them and they don't have the ability to walk on their own. And so what we do is, when you come into the program, we'll, do your blood work, your DEXA scan, your initial, fitness test analysis and all that. So we have an idea of where you're starting, and then we'll figure out where you want to go, and then we'll orient you in the right direction, and then we'll nudge you in that direction, and we will walk beside you. We're not going to hold your hand. We're not going to put your hand on your shoulder. We're going to guide you in the right direction, and we're going to walk beside you. Once you start to kind of wander off from the path to be able to get to where you want to, we'll just nudge you back on the road, and we'll continue moving forward. And then undoubtedly, at one point, there's going to be speed bumps. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be obstacles. You're going to fall on the ground. There's going to be things to overcome. And when those things happen, we're going to be there to help you get over those obstacles. That's when we land you a hand when you fall on the ground, to help you get back up, rear you in the right directions, and move forward. We do that because if, when you fall on the ground, we just pick you up and put you back on your feet and get you to walk, you don't learn the lesson as to why you fell on the ground. And then you don't learn the lesson of, here's how I get back on track. Here's how I head back in the right direction. So yeah, I hope this analogy makes sense. We'll walk beside you. We'll nudge you back in the right direction. We'll help you get up, but we won't do all the work for you, because once you're done the program, you're just going to be, and then respectfully, empty-brained. You won't know how to do this by yourself. And to me, I don't really care about the after photo. I care about the after photo. Like, I want to see you in 5, 10 years, 15 years after the program, and you're in even better shape than when you ended the program, because you continued this lifestyle. And if I don't allow you to learn from your slip-ups, from, sometimes making the wrong decision with your training and nutrition, how can you learn and develop that into sustainable habits and into lessons that will deeply be ingrained in you, for you to know not to do this the next time, or for you to make a different decision the next time? It's like telling a child, don't touch the stove, it's hot, or don't touch the fire, it's hot. And, everyone at one point didn't listen to their parents and actually touched something hot. I was like, oh shit, this hurts. I'm not going to do this anymore, right? Like, everyone was told not to touch the stove, everyone touched the stove at one point and it was like, shit, this hurts. I should not do this. The pain of the lesson is the thing that ingrained it in you to not do it anymore. But if I don't allow you to experience a little bit of the pain from the lesson, from the slip ups, from the going off track, from tripping, from falling on your nutrition and your training, if I don't allow you to experience some of the pain from that, how can you learn the lesson? The lesson will never be as deeply ingrained as when you touch the stove, right? So I hope that makes sense. And where we come in as coaches as well is when you slip up, when you trip up, right? What happens to a lot of people is they take a really long time to get back at it. You know, they're like, I'm going to do this perfectly and it's all going to work out perfectly. I'm not going to miss a workout. I'm not going to miss a meal. I'm always going to make the healthy decision. But then you travel, there's family vacation, there's holidays, there's honeymoons, there's so much stuff happening that you do make a mistake at one point. And then when that happens, you beat yourself up. And then for a lot of people, there's a few different scenarios only, right? People wait for next year. They're like, oh yeah, next New Year's resolution. That's going to be my time. Next month, next week, next Monday, next day. We're not even a next day type of people. We are next meal type of people, right? One thing that we tell our members all the time is win the next meal. I don't care if on Friday night you drank, a full bottle of wine and you ordered a large vegan pizza and you had vegan chocolate cake. If you come to me on Saturday and you're like, hey, I had all this food yesterday. What should I do? Should I try to remove my food for the next day? Should I do more cardio that day? I'm going to tell you, I hope you had a great time, right? Just get back on track with the plan. Just go back to eating your breakfast. Just go back to eating your lunch and your dinner and whatever food we have planned for you. Because if you played a game of trying to compensate, then it's a never-ending cycle of compensation. Because what happens if I cut your food by a lot the next day? The following day, you're going to be starving. You're way more likely to overeat. But I'm going to do a bunch of exercise, which anyway, you won't be able to catch up for that much food. You're just going to be hungry after, and you're way more likely to overeat. So we don't even wait for the next day. We just wait for the next meal. So if you overeat on Monday morning, great. Hope you had a good time, right? Again, analyze how you feel. If you don't feel great, well, use that as the pain for the lesson, and then just eat your lunch and then just eat your dinner and get back at it. So yeah, mismanagement of expectation and ultimately just getting back on track as fast as possible is what will allow you to build consistency. So all these things that I just shared are summarizing you living in the gray zone, right? Not being all out or nothing, but being in the middle, being like, sometimes it'll be great. Sometimes it will not be great. Sometimes I won't feel like it, but I can still do it, right? And sometimes you will feel like it and you won't do it, right? So learning to live in that middle. And also just as a side piece, however you speak to yourself and you choose to identify for yourself is how you will perceive yourself to be, and you will take actions that are aligned with being all or nothing. And so if I had so many people be like, oh, I'm all out or nothing. Or I have a lot of people tell me, oh, when I do something, I go all in. But I'm like, you tried to lose weight 20 times before. Why are you 40 pounds overweight? Right? If you tell me that when you do something, you do it, we wouldn't have this weight issue right now. And so just understand that sometimes this identity that we attach to ourselves is useful in many areas of our life, but just know that it doesn't leak into every other area unless you choose to, right? Because if you tell yourself that when I do something, I go all in, but you try losing weight a bunch of times before, you're 40 pounds overweight right now, obviously that's not a true statement, and potentially it could be hindering you because you may feel like a failure because you tell yourself that when you do something, you're going to do it. And this is not an area of your life that is reflective of that. So you're less likely to work on it. You're more likely to feel like a failure. And then you're less likely to just take that on as a challenge. And so, yeah, I think it's summing down to like, just be kinder to yourself as you're going through this journey. Accept that you will make bad decisions. It's just honestly, how can I put this? If you listen to a lot of my podcasts, I always trying to tell people like, if I could have one superpower, it would be to have the ability to switch that switch in people's brain of like, hey, you have cancer, like getting that cancer diagnosis that prompts you to change your life without actually having cancer, but actually getting the consequences. So I'm always reflecting as to how can I make someone understand like the perspective that you need to have in order to go through this process of body recomposition, of getting fitter and healthier, regardless of your age. And that would actually allow a person to do that. And the only way I found that is through communication, through conversation, through lines of questioning, and through shifting someone's perspective. Because when you get a cancer diagnosis, it is simply a shift in perspective on your current situation. And so if I can help you shift your perspective about your current situation, or about the journey or the goal that you're trying to accomplish, and I can make you see from a different angle, then maybe that can be the thing that allows you to move forward. And so, yeah, I just want you to understand that if you can accept that you're going to make mistakes, and that improving your body composition is the same process as anything else, right? You want to raise a child. Was there a guide on exactly how to do that when you first had a kid? Right? There was no guide that was like, this is exactly how you perfectly raise a child. No, you made a lot of decisions. Some worked, some didn't, and you did the best that you could. And hey, you didn't give up, and it worked out, right? Same thing when you start a new career. Same thing when you start a business. Same thing when you want to change your life and you move to a new country. Same thing when you met your partner. You didn't know what to say perfectly. Sometimes you did things and you got into an argument with your partner, but then you learn as you have conversation. And so improving your body composition isn't any different than that. So if you can accept that there is a learning curve, that you're going to make mistakes, but that if you keep showing up and you give your body and your mind a chance to adapt to the types of action that you're taking, eventually it'll become a part of who you are. It'll become a part of your identity. And just on a personal note, I'm going to record another solo podcast on this, but I've not been wanting to work out for maybe the past like 4 or 5 months. Right? I just like no motivation to work out. Just, yeah, I've been training for 19 years, and I'm trying to train for different things. And right now I'm just not in a phase where I'm super motivated. But guess what? I've still worked out 4 to 5 times a week, a mix of strength training and cardiovascular exercise for that whole time, because it is a part of who I am to exercise. And so when you do it long enough, even if you go through moments of like almost half a year of not wanting to work out, you still end up working out, right? Like it is effort, but it isn't. Like it's a part of my schedule. I wake up, I sit here, I do deep work, and I go to the gym. Like it's just whether I'm on vacation or not, it's a part of who I am and how I live my life. And so you just need to stick to it long enough for it to become a part of who you are, right? Yeah, again, I can go on so many different examples, but you do the same thing when you brush your teeth. I'm sure there's things that you do for your partner that you didn't do before, and that your partner really appreciate. Like for me, opening the door for Ivy, that when we sit in the car, I've always done that since we've met. This wasn't a habit that I had previous to that. It started when my late partner was sick with cancer. She didn't have the strength to open the door, so I started opening the door for her, and then it just stuck. But at first, it wasn't a habit to do that. And the more I did it, eventually it just became a part of the thing that I do, to the point where when I hang out with my guy friends, sometimes I just end up going on their side and opening the door for them. And they're so surprised that I opened the door for them. So yeah, when you do something often enough, eventually it becomes a part of your habits and your actions throughout the day. And for some of you that are struggling with working out, or struggling with meal prepping, or struggling making the right decision with your food, is because you haven't been doing it long enough, and you haven't given yourself grace to be imperfect through your actions, to get to a place where you've done it long enough for it to become a part of your lifestyle. And guess what? The more often you do the thing, the better you become at doing the thing. And there's nothing else that replaces doing the thing than doing the thing. You can read all the nutrition books you want. You can listen to all the podcasts you want. You can watch all the YouTube video. You can read all the newsletter, whatever you want. Nothing beats doing the thing to become better at doing the thing. Whether that's doing the workout, showing up for the workout, getting fitter, improving your nutrition, meal prepping, learning how to structure a meal. You don't get better at it through anything else besides doing the thing. And honestly, on a very personal level, I've become so much better at multiple areas of my life through doing the thing imperfectly for a long period of time. That has taught me way more than anything I've ever read, every course I've ever taken, every certification I've ever done, every mentor I've ever hired. Doing the thing. And understanding like, wow, this didn't work because of this. Okay, how do I do this better? And then doing this better. And then something else doesn't work. Like, okay, how do I do this better? And then doing it like, how can I improve this? And then doing it again. And that's how you build it into your identity. And it's how you get better at it. Right. So I hope this makes sense. Doing the thing is the thing that allows you to get better at the thing. So if you want to be fitter, if you want to be healthier, start doing the thing. Stop reading about it. Stop listening about it. Just start taking action on it. Well, yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up the podcast there in terms of, I just want you to understand the biggest takeaway from this is you have to learn to live in that gray zone, because that's where you're going to spend the majority of your days of your life. Like, not saying you're going to feel meh all the time. You're going to feel good, but it's not going to be like I'm on top of the world or life is shit and I'm at the bottom of it. You just feel normal for the day. If you learn to live there and understand that imperfection and making mistakes and learning from those is a part of the process, if you don't get that, you will keep yo-yo dieting, and you will keep yo-yoing in your results and your success and your relationship and in many areas of your life. And so I just want to I hope the perspective shift connected with some of you. And honestly, those of you that are ready to hear it will hear it. And those of you that aren't ready to hear it won't hear it. And that's okay, right? Maybe you re-listen to this podcast in a year from now, your brain might be in a different position to really understand what I'm trying to say here. And so, yeah, hope this podcast was helpful. I haven't done a solo one in a while, so feel free to let me know how you enjoy these episodes, because I'm going to be recording another 2-3 of those, because I have some deeper subjects that I'm going to talk about, like how I overcame my bad relationship with food, sugar, and with my body. And another one is motivation towards specific fitness and health goals when you're at different stages of your journey. So if you want to listen to those, be sure to subscribe on the podcast or on the YouTube channel to be notified when those come out. And I want to say massive thank you for all of you for listening until the end. I hope you have an incredible day, and I will see you in the next episode in a few days. Bye.